welcome to the Soccer Coaching Podcast. I'm your host Scott Mowbray, and in each episode I will discuss the key topics that impact on football coaching from the foundation and youth development phases. Thanks for listening, I hope you enjoy this episode. Chris Hughes, welcome to the Soccer Coaching Podcast. How are you?
Brilliant, yeah. Very good. Thanks for having me on. Can't wait.
It's a pleasure to have you on. You're up in sunny Salford?
Yep.
How's it all going up there?
Yeah, brilliant. It's really good. It's a hotbed, obviously, for football. Yeah. Very competitive. So, yeah, it's good. I love it.
Well, I think obviously in England we know about the area for lots of reasons, but more recently with the great work that Salford FC have been doing and moving up the leagues, is that something you've been around? Is that embraced the town around there? Is it a big part of what's going on?
Yeah, it's been mad. So obviously since lockdown, so since March, I've not done any coaching at all. And just before the 6-week holiday started, it's funny you mentioned it because I've not sort of told anyone anything, but yeah, jumped in with Salford City and I've been doing a little bit of sort of like community coaching with them for the last 6 weeks. So I've been involved, and there's a real like good buzz around them, and hopefully we can see them flying up the leagues as quick as possible.
Well, they've done well so far, right?
Yeah, definitely doing really well and signed some great players already this summer. So we're looking forward to it.
Looking promising. I've watched the documentaries. Is it a true reflection? Is that what it's really like, what we see on TV, or is that a bit more polished?
Yeah, it's probably a little bit more polished, but they're definitely ambitious and they want to go places. So it's, even though it's League Two, they sort of are the business, as you'd say.
Yeah. Well, where they've come from to where they're going, it's an exciting journey, right? So we'll keep watching it. Yeah, well, I'm glad you're involved. It sounds like the right place to be. So well done, Chris. So the purpose of this podcast and getting you on, I'm excited about it, Chris, because even though we talk a lot about the younger age groups, really, particularly the foundation phase, from what I've seen around you and what you're doing, you're kind of really close to that. So where this is going to lead, I'm hoping we'll be looking at that space particularly and getting your thoughts, ideas and experiences around that. But before we get into that in real details, just if you don't mind, a bit about you, your kind of coaching journey and experiences just to this point, if that's okay.
Yeah, so I've been coaching pretty much since I was 16, so it's like 11 years now. I left Macclesfield Town, academy when I was 16, and really sort of fell out of love, unfortunately, with playing. So for 2 years, I was taking my nephew down to clubs, to grassroots clubs and stuff, and as it happens, as always, you seem to find yourself jumping in, helping out, coaching. Really got involved with it again, and then sort of from that enjoyed just playing like locally and stuff again. Since from there, I got a few like part-time, just normal jobs, and then working for Bolton Wanderers in the community. So I was with them for about 4 years. Loved working there, did lots of things, nurseries, primary schools, girls, boys in secondary school, and then a bit of like an RTC. It wasn't quite the academy, but it was like talent centres with the youngest ones. So that was under 6s and under 7s. Did that for a year, and that really got me thinking about, my own sort of philosophy in coaching and things like that. From there, I got a job with Man United Foundation, and at a similar time when I was back with Bolton, so I started up my own business, Little Legends, which is for preschoolers, so from 18 months to 4.5. From there, a couple of parents then got to that 4.5 stage and had to leave for reception and didn't have anywhere to go. So we started up a soccer school, which was then for under 5s, and then from under 5s again, they didn't really have anywhere to go. So we set them up on under 6s, and then Dad got involved with me, Mike, and from that point we decided to set up Salford Storm FC, which is a grassroots club in Langworthy, which is part of Salford, which is quite a deprived area, and not a lot of the parents would come in. Obviously, not all of them, but some of them didn't have access to cars or had like 3 or 4 kids and couldn't drive to other places to join a grassroots club. So we set one up there, and that's been going now for about 2 years. Started off with me, Mike, and a guy called Lee. There's just 3 volunteers. Now there's over 30 volunteers, 200 kids in the club. So we've just finally last week got our own access to a home ground and home facilities. So that's been really good. We've been getting a lot of coaching from that. Yeah, then from Little Legends, I got another part-time with Man United Foundation. And in February, I was headhunted by Manchester City to work for their academy with the under fives and under sixes. So that's going to be a good talking point, I think, later on, because there's a lot of negativity around that. So, but yeah, it's a good talking point. So, and that's me currently. Then obviously I had no work for a little bit with lockdown and stuff, and then as I said just previously, I've been with Salford for a couple of weeks.
So badges wise, just out of interest, not that this is the be all and end all, honey grab, but have you gone for your badges? Have you worked on those?
Yeah, I did my level 1 when I was 17, and sort of 6 months later did my level 2 at 18. Did my youth module 1 and 2. I was halfway through the youth module 3, and I think I went on holiday. It was ages ago. Can't remember, and it just kind of never finished it off. But yeah, so level 1, level 2 in the youth mods.
I've got to say, we'll come back to the Salford Storm in a minute, but some cracking names there. Little Legends, Salford Storm. Who's your marketing? These are brilliant.
Yeah, I know.
Really good. Just because of the names.
Yeah.
Wow, so that's some great organic growth over a couple of years to go from, was it you, Mike and Lee, setting up something, 3 volunteers to 30 and 200 players. That's excellent.
Yeah.
How are you finding that whole grassroots? I mean, I don't want to get too much into this because it could go completely off topic. But do they play Sunday league grassroots football? Is it training only, or are you doing matches as well?
So it's generally Saturdays, and then so we have under fives in a soccer school that I help run on a Sunday morning. My under sixes train on a Wednesday, play on a play joint friendlies on a Saturday, and then the 7s through to 12s play Saturdays. And we've just got a Wildcats centre on a Monday night, and a ladies team and 2 open age men's team as well, which play Saturday afternoons.
Oh, what a success story, superb. And what an opportunity to get more and more players just playing. And I mean, I think in this country, one of the legacies we can be proud of is the fact that this happens, I'm not saying a lot, but you can see when you get passionate people like yourselves that really embrace it in the community, what a difference it can make.
Definitely. It's been massive around here, because a lot of Salford is very, very competitive, and obviously there's a lot of clubs that do a lot of good work. But then one of our sort of ideas when we began the club is that we will never turn a kid away. We'll never drop a kid. Like, this club really is going to be for everybody. Like, we don't care. Like, I shouldn't say it, but we don't care how bad you are. We just want to develop like a love for the game, and like we'll coach you. We'll make sure you have fun. We'll make sure you enjoy your football. And we're finding like we're at a point where we're getting too many kids, but that's such like a good problem to have. Like, we just want to keep getting kids in, keep finding volunteers, and just keep going. So just this week alone, we've started a new under 8s and a new under 9s. So we've got about 15 kids there that have not really played much football, and it's starting to get out there now, and people know that our club are a club to help develop children and stuff. So it's really good.
I think when you're doing things right, the word can spread quite quickly, can't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, Chris, excellent. Well, I think you're gonna have to find a bigger venue. You might have to keep.
We just got. We that was the biggest problem at the start, because we had a couple of schools on board, but obviously the schools, so there's certain there's nothing you can do with the pitch, or you're very restricted. They would only let certain volunteers have access to the keys, so only certain people could go down, open up, and go home, hang around, come back, lock up, and everything. Whereas now we've just got our own venue, so we've got like 111-a-side pitch, I think 1 9, 2 7s, and a couple of 5s. So yeah, we've got loads of room, loads of teams, so it's really good.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, you might have kind of covered a bit in the next question already, but let's just clear it up for sure. Interested to know really about your coaching philosophy and all your principles, and maybe even how they might have changed from when you were like back when you were 16, 17 and were helping your nephew out to kind of how things are now. I know it's not an easy question to answer, but just, how would you outline kind of your approach to coaching?
Yeah, so for me, it's always been about getting people involved, always about fun. And sort of when we first started out, it was very much about like learning as well. So it's because obviously he was only like 4, 5. So it's always been like sort of an education and a learning process. And like recently, I put together sort of 3 main things to my philosophy, which is love, learning, and laughing, which is like a very I feel like it's a very unique philosophy, because you won't hear many people say that, but the love bit just means to be able to like inspire them, to know every kid's name, to really care for them, to know what they need as an individual, and like I say, and to really engage them. I think like the only way to be a really good coach is to know every single kid individually in your session, and like once you can do that, then I think like coaching becomes quite easy, because you know what they need. Like the learning bit, I think when you come to football, you should always be learning. So whether that's football skills or life skills, socializing, communication, that sort of stuff, you should always be learning. And a lot of that is repetition as well. So we do a lot of the same stuff, because between like the ages of 4 and 6, they need a lot of repetition. And the last one's obviously laughing. Something I think like when you're having fun, learning just becomes easy. When you're laughing, you don't realise you're learning. When you're playing and you're just enjoying it, like, laughing just makes kids come back week in, week out. So
I'm interested, Chris. I mean, is that something you had from day one? Was that kind of that's inside you, or was it a case of you experienced it yourself, or maybe you experienced the opposite when you were playing or coaching? Well, where does it come from?
Yeah, I think when I played as a kid, like I always wanted to have fun, and I think like going through like different academies, I was always being released for being too small and stuff, and I never felt like when I was in an academy, I never had fun. I never really enjoyed football. It was always really, really serious, and like when I went back to grassroots clubs, it was just like free to express yourself, to play, to have fun. And obviously like you work hard, you're passionate, you want to win. There's no change in that, but it's just, you just love it. You love going back. Like the coaches made you feel special. Whereas at an academy when I was there, I just felt like sort of a number. It was just like, oh, here's Chris today, let's do this. You just never felt like that personal connection with the coaches. Whereas, so yeah, when I coached, I always wanted to make it clear that I knew everyone's name, like high five as soon as they come in, and there's always that connection and bonding and that like real strong relationship with them. It's something that I did do from the start. I didn't know I was doing it until a couple of years ago when I wanted to like start writing the book, and I realised, yeah, this is actually what I do. These are sort of the 3 things that I'm passionate about. Yeah, so that's how it started.
And how hard is it, Chris, to have that enthusiasm and passion yourself and that approach to find like-minded volunteers that want to do it the same way? I know a lot of volunteers get involved in grassroots football for the best intentions, but those intentions don't always play and practicing best for the children that they're supporting. Is that something that you've seen yourself, or you find actually the passion drives it, and therefore you attract the people that are like you to come and volunteer as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think you're right. I think what you put out there and what you talk about, other people sort of gravitate to it, and like what you like, and then what you put out there, other people seem to like and come to you. And I think like the reason why me and Mike clicked years ago was because when we just talked about football, like him as a dad at my session and me as a coach, we just clicked. Like we felt the same way. We felt we had the same ideas, and when we talked, we agreed with a lot of stuff. And I think like in Salford, it's very competitive, and so like certain people seem to gravitate towards other teams, and people gravitate to us. And I couldn't ask for better volunteers at our club. Like everyone wants to win, because like getting beat 20-0 is no fun, obviously, but like that willingness to put the kids first seems to be central to every volunteer's philosophy at our club. So yeah, I've been really lucky.
That's excellent, Chris. And it is exactly that, isn't it? It's getting people that are willing to put the children first. And it's easy to say, and we can all say it, but actually in practice, it isn't always the case. In fact,
no.
It isn't the case, And sometimes I think it's just from maybe coach education or just lack of understanding. But sometimes I just think it's just bad practice. And if a club allows it to happen, it can quite easily become the norm. Or if you've got someone driving it from the top from the club, then what a wonderful environment you create for those players. I mean, having your kids as part of that in that environment must be a wonderful thing for those parents and for the kids themselves.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the FA have been I know they do get a lot of bad press. I think the FA have been really good. Like they really shaped my education early doors. Like I'm glad I went to those courses really early in my sort of the start of my career as a coach, because they really drove that message home. It's about inclusivity and stuff. And I heard the other day they're doing level 1 online, and I think it's really frustrating, because I think they've done so much good work in driving that change of like, it's not all about winning. And I think like coaching in the last 10 years has changed dramatically from winning and results to development. And so I hope that they do bring the courses back, and all the coaches that go through that level one, that might be their first experience, rather than being 2 years or 3 years or 10 years down the line of its results and winning, they get that big shock from the FA that no, it's not about that, it's about development and it's about the kids first. And so I hope they bring courses back. I know obviously it's tricky at the minute, but eventually,
it's quite scary to think that actually a lot of coaches might be going to starting their coaching journeys again with best intentions, but not having those key messages that you did get. I think like you, I did the youth mods 1, 2, and 3, and to me they were game changers. Level 1, level 2 was fine. I did old school level 1, level 2, so it was a little bit more old fashioned in the sense of very technical rather than about the environment. But the youth mods I thought were just like that. That was the one that spoke to me. It was like, actually now I get it, and I feel like now I can be the coach I want to be, because the FA is saying it's okay to kind of put the environment first and think about the process rather than outcomes. Hear that. So Chris, I think that the focus really for us is to talk about this kind of pre-academy age group, and you mentioned it a bit at the beginning where with Man City looking at under 5s and under 6s, and then you got like, is it Bayern Munich, I think, have abolished the younger age group, starting maybe under 12s now or something. So it's obviously there's arguments for different things, but I guess my first question would be, you've obviously gravitated towards that younger age group. Is that just because how things have evolved, or was there a conscious decision to kind of work in that space?
No, it's just the way that sort of my career has evolved. I've always been in that age group from like when I started out with my little cousin, like years and years ago, and started my own business. It was a preschool business, so it was that age group, and then I never planned to go much higher than like nursery stuff. But with that gap between like reception to 5s and 6s, and then proper football starting at under 7s, that's kind of what put me into that little change where it becomes like preschool education football / babysitting to like proper football of 5 and 6. And again, it's not proper football, but you can do dribbling, you can do shooting and all the tricks and turns and stuff. So I've always really just stuck to that. Sounds bad, but I'm very good at it. So like I'm very comfortable in that place, and like stay there. And, just relate to it. I'm on that wavelength. So,
seriously, I think that the ability to have that empathy and relate to age group, I think that's fundamental. I see a lot of coaches that coach in lots of different age groups, but they can't necessarily engage with the age group they've got, maybe under 12s, under 13s, 14s, and their approach is either maybe too young or too old for the age group. So having the ability to really see it through the children's eyes, I think makes a big difference if you're coaching.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm a City fan, and so like you could say that I'm slightly biased to them, but when City approached me, they wanted me specifically because I want to work, obviously the new aspect of City, but they wanted somebody who wants to work with that age group. They didn't want someone to come in, work with the 5 and 6-year-olds, but their ambition is to, as quick as they can, move up to the under 12s where they are. So they try and find coaches that love working with under 5s, under 6s. They try and find coaches that love working with the under 12s, under 13s, or just under 12s, and like, because it doesn't. Like I hear people say like, oh, in other countries, what they do is they get the UEFA licensed coaches and they put them with the 5 to 6s because it's the most important. But that's not necessarily the best thing either, because what you need is the best coach who at that age. So like, it doesn't matter if someone's a level 1 but if they're very good with the 5s and 6s, then that's better for the kids than a UEFA licensed coach who actually just wants to work with the under 23s. It's about finding the right people for the right kids.
Having the passion for the group that you've got.
Exactly, exactly.
What are the main differences, besides, I guess the abilities the players get older, between coaching, say, an under 6s group compared to an under 12s or an under 16s? What with regards to, not the technical stuff, because I think we all know there'll be a significant difference with that, but just the other things you have to think about as a coach when you're working in that space compared to what you might be thinking about if you're working in a slightly older space?
Well, I think one of the things that the FA used to say was really good was the 90% ball rolling time, and I really do take that to heart. Like, if I'm at 90%, like that's probably a bad day. With my under 5s, under 6s, it's literally like, tell them what we're doing, maybe show them. If it's easy, just get on with it and just play. Whereas, say at the older age group, like under 18s, you can stop, you can talk, you can demonstrate, you can even like run through a whole game and say the right back passes it to the centre back, into the centre mid, back out, back round. Whereas for me, in the 5 and 6s, it's just play, like as much as you can. Like you can be the best skills coach in the world, but just getting them playing as much as possible. Like they might only have an hour with you a week, 2 hours a week, and that might be the only football they get to play. So yeah, just getting them playing at that early age, I think, as much as possible in that hour that you've got.
And I guess if you can keep them engaged that way, then that fixes some of the behavioural issues. Not necessarily saying naughty kids, but just when they're bored, then the other things happen, right? If they're doing something, then that fixes that problem straight away as well.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, like we'll maybe talk about a little bit later on about my books, but the whole point of me doing that was because I took my wife's little cousin to a session, and the coach had them doing throw-ins, had them doing like the standard, like 5 on this side, 5 on this side, you pass, run to the back of the queue, you pass, run to the back of the queue. And there was so many behavioural issues, and he was going like, stop messing, stop talking. I thought, well, there's one ball between 10 kids. They're meant to be stood in 2 perfect lines. They're not 12, they're 5. Just get them a ball each, get them playing. And so there's a lot of behavioural issues when they're standing around and they're waiting and they're looking for a worm or they're looking at a plane. But if you get them playing, they forget about all that stuff. So yeah.
I think, and that's the same probably for any age group. When I look back at my sessions, when it hasn't gone quite right and I've walked away thinking it was a bit flat or it wasn't quite as good, or the players weren't as engaged or as up for it as normal, every single time I reflect on the session, it's something wrong with the session. It wasn't the kids, it was me. You can just tell it's like, that didn't quite work because it was either too complicated or it was this or it was that. And actually, if you can get the sessions right, then coaching becomes much easier, doesn't it? And just again, a bit of experience. But with the younger ones, I guess a ball each is a good start. But I'm going to assume it's not just the case. I mean, I don't imagine for 1 minute, Chris, that you just literally whack up a few pitches and throw a ball in and say, off you go, kids. How do you structure some of these training sessions with the younger ones? Because there's got to be some, with you back to your love, learning and laughing. Obviously, the game will give the probably generate the love and the laughing. But how does the learning get involved in that? How do you manage that with such young players?
Yeah, so each game that we created for the reception, the year 1 kids, has a theme to it. So each one has sort of a topic. So this week, for example, we're doing all about autumn, but then not only will it be autumn, it will also be, this week is turning and tricks. So it's autumn is the topic and the skill is like turning and tricks. So next week it might be pirates and it's all about shooting. And next week it might be like dinosaurs and it's protecting the ball. And so each one has a different topic and a different theme. And even though like the game's set out, you have to use your experience and like the know-how of the kids. Like exactly what kids you've got to then challenge them and make sure that the game is appropriate.
I saw a tweet you put out there, Chris, and you've shared your curriculum.
Yeah,
it's it's brilliant. I mean, you explained a bit there, but you've got things like emergency services, Three Little Pigs, Halloween. I guess these are just ways in which you can relate to some of the technical points, if you like, but in a fun way that the kids can buy into.
Yeah, definitely. So, like for example, the session this week is all about autumn. So we talk about the leaves falling off the trees. So that's something that they were talking about in school. They can relate to it. They know what's going on. And then we put like red, green, yellow cones down, and then so like each different cone is like a different skill to learn. So it's turning and tricks. So at the yellow cones, for example, they might run to a yellow cone and do a turn, run to a green cone, like do a trick, and there's different things like that. And so I think the game autumn at the minute is quite a basic game, but last week when I did it with City, because the kids are quite advanced, we was doing like Ronaldo chops and things like that, and doing Cruyff turns, and so then it's up to you as the coach to challenge them and stuff. Yeah.
And what about actual game formats then with the younger ones? Is it all like 1v1s, 2v2s, 3v3s? I mean, what are the formats? How big do you go? Do you keep it particularly small? And is it games? Is it Firmino style, 2 goals either end? Is it no goals? How do you get the little mini matches going? What do they look like?
Yeah, so usually we do like 2v2, 3v3, whatever we can fit. Last night we did a session and there's two new children in our group, and so we just did 1v1 with them for a little bit. We got the dads involved and we just literally just let them play, because that gives them like the full like 20 minutes of that match just to have the ball between them. It's like, right, you go back to the start, ball comes in, go 1v1, 1v1, 1v1. And like you could tell from when they come on Saturday that they were both just walking out like totally lost in a 3v3. We just like put it right back to 1v1, let them play, and that got loads out. But yeah, it's anything from 1v1, 2v1, 2v2, 3v2, and 3v3. So they get to start to learn some little bits of overloads and like recovery runs. If your team loses the ball, the keeper has to go back in the net, things like that.
It's amazing, isn't it, how much of, if you like, grown-up football you can still get into a 1v1 or a 2v2 or a 3v2. Yeah. I mean, you can. You're not going to start talking necessarily about third man runs and one, but the kids will start doing these things, won't they? Because the game almost makes them have to do it, and then you can start put some of this language into it, so it doesn't become so alien to them when they're ready for it at a later stage. It's amazing how much the right format can just get some of this stuff into the kids without too much coaching intervention.
Yeah, definitely. Like the other night we did 3v2, so when your team had the ball, the keeper could come out and play, and then if you lost the ball, the keeper had to get back to the net as quick as possible. But then I was talking about, I don't do an awful lot on passing, because I think passing is for later. Like, let's get them really good at dribbling for now. But every now and again, obviously, we introduce them to new topics, like you said, so that when they become older, it's not alien to them. So when we finally moved on to the match, it was a 3v3. We said if anyone gets a 1-2, then they get that goal's worth 5 goals. So I think it was like 3-all between just like 3 regular individual solo goals, and all of a sudden 2 little boys did a 1-2 and scored a goal, and they was running around like, yes, 5 goals. And like it was just 1-1-2 in one night, and it was like brilliant because they understood a 1-2, and even though they're really young, you know, next year and the year after, it becomes an integral part of when they're playing matches.
Do you think sometimes we're guilty of setting the bar too low with these young players, and almost they can do some of this more grown up stuff if the environment's right and we don't push them, but by creating the right space for them, they can do some of this stuff?
No, yeah, I agree completely. I think because like we see them at the youngest stage, I think, right, let's start with the absolute basics, and sometimes they're already way past it, and so sometimes it's better to start a little bit too high and then just bring the bar down a little bit. Like for example, the other night, again, we don't do an awful lot of passing, but we was doing just a little triangle of passing, and so I started off with, like, say, a pass up, a pass back, and a pass round. A couple of them could get that and understand it, and a couple didn't, so we just took it straight back to a pass up, back foot around the cone, and a pass out. And then after a couple of minutes of basic then we just went back to where I'd started, 1-2 round the cone, and they could do it. And so it's better to have started up there, know that a couple can do it, and if you need to, just bring it back down and work your way back up. But it's like sometimes you have to work from the back and come back down a little bit, because sometimes you're just wasting time if you're on the basic stuff, and they can do better.
It's that ability to adjust the dial, isn't it, accordingly by seeing what you've got. But I also think that when you set the bar higher and you get 1 or 2 of the players can achieve it, that speaks lots to the other players, because then they see some success and they want that as well. So they'll work a bit hard and they want to get up there. Where if you're aiming too low, and it's almost hard to get to the top because they haven't seen it yet. Where if 1 or 2 can get it, then if you've got a group of 10 and 1 or 2 getting it, the other 8 will work really hard to get there. And maybe not in that one session, but I guarantee, give them 2 or 3 weeks at it, and they'll be up there as well.
Yeah.
They want to be where their mates are.
Yeah, definitely. It was that session tonight, and I said, right, it was ball mastery, it was turn tricks, and who can show me one skill? So this little boy does a Maradona turn. I'm like, oh no, like how can the others replicate a Maradona turn? Like if you're doing a step over or a Cruyff turn, you can coach then. You can't coach a Maradona, you've got it or you've not. And it was like, right, okay, so off they went, like the 5 of them. 4 of them could do a Maradona turn and the other one couldn't. And then so I was trying to show him it, and it was really difficult, but it's just like, well, he's not there yet, it's fine. But it's better that, say, like I'd have said, right, I'm going to do the Maradona turn, you all watch me. For that little boy that couldn't do it, you think, well, he's an adult, like, he can do it, I can't. But because he's seeing his peers do it at that age, he thinks, right, well, they can do it, and he's dead determined to go on and do it. He didn't do it that night, but like you said, I'm sure 2-3 weeks, a month down the line, he'll be doing it.
100%. Chris, that's where the environment's so important, right? That you can kind of, if you want that high bar, the kids haven't got to feel pressure necessarily reach it. They've got to strive towards it, haven't they? If you've got an environment where actually it's okay if you can't do it tonight, it's no problem at all. But let's go for it and see if we can land, rather than, do it easy and not push ourselves a little bit. And that's, I guess, it sounds to me that's the kind of environment you create in your training sessions.
Yeah, I tell them all the time, like this is training. We're just here to practice. If you can't do it, it doesn't matter. There's no pressure. It's just, this is training. We're here to learn, here to practice, we're here to make mistakes, and we're here to make you better footballers. But yeah, who cares if you can't do it the 5 to 6? There's plenty of time. So like I said, it's making them feel comfortable and confident to keep trying, keep making mistakes.
If you can do it perfectly now, there's no point in training, is it? Might be something else. Other stuff. So you mentioned about goalkeepers actually. So I wasn't going to ask this now, but why you mentioned it. Your personal views on set positions for players?
No, I don't really agree with it at all. We just got a new kit for our under 6s, and like the kit manager for Salford Storm was like, "Do you want a goalkeeper kit?" I'm like, "No way!" No way. I was like, "We'll just get a bib and we'll swap the bibs." Obviously, not at the minute. We'll all have to have their own new bib that we swap in and swap out. But yeah, like no goalkeeper kits. They can all take sort of 5 minutes in and swap the goalkeepers over. And my actual opinion, I know it's not possible. I'd love it if everyone could just be a striker at the early ages, at 5, at 6, because I think like that is the hardest part of the game. Like scoring goals, becoming comfortable scoring goals, having the calmness just to put the ball in the back of the net. And it would be great if everyone was a striker, and like we just forget about defending until whatever, under 7s, under 8s, and everyone just tries to score as many goals as possible. Yeah. But that would, if we could have positions, you'd just be like, right, it's one goalkeeper, or not even a goalkeeper, one defender, 4 attackers, off you go. Just get that. Yeah.
A lot of the games I see at the age often are like that, but not all of them, to be fair. Not enough of them.
No.
And rotation then? I mean, you've obviously got a Salford, you've got teams there that are playing matches. Do you insist on player rotation? Do you leave it to the coach to make that choice up for them, or does it just happen because that's part of the environment you created? Or are you okay if players play one position for a game, maybe a different position next game? Goalkeepers aside, but if they're playing a certain formation at 5 or 7 aside, would you insist that they move it around a little bit, or do you just let the coach decide?
We do let the coaches decide, and obviously coaches will live and die by their own sword. Only if players keep coming back, then ultimately that's what we want. But yeah, again, we do set that out from like the group, the WhatsApp group, that obviously we're trying to do things the right way. So there's lots of player rotations. Like you will have problems where one parent might say, well, my son's a striker only, and well, it's tough. Like they will rotate, they'll play in every position. And
he or she is 6, so we've got a bit of time to know where they're going to play. Yeah,
exactly. But like it's like the other week. Don't know whether to say it. Hopefully the dad just doesn't hear this. But I had in the 6s for 2 years, and the other night he couldn't make it. So he said, "Oh, will you come and help us like run a session?" So I said, "Yeah, no problem." I was doing some really basic things with them, and they've not really progressed much at all in those 2 years in the 6s. And like when I left, I felt like really disappointed, and I was like, they've not really progressed much in terms of being footballers. But then on reflection, 7 of the 9 that play was 7 that used to play in under 6s, and so ultimately, like all that 7 are still there, still playing football. They still love it. They still enjoy it. All the parents still involved. They turn up every week, and they do all right in terms of results. Like, not that it matters, but they still do okay. And you think ultimately, like they've all been coming back, and they all enjoy the football, and so really that's all that matters at that age.
Some of the issues then with coaching pre-academy, what are the challenges and issues you face? I mean, you're in this world a lot in different venues with Salford or with City. What are the challenges?
I think the challenges are obviously like managing expectations. I think people constantly think that they're going to come down and be the next Wayne Rooney, the next Aguero, and obviously it's a lot of times the kids like love football and stuff, or the kids might be really bad, and the parents will be like really disappointed, and they'll say, "Oh, football's not for him. You know, he's really good in school. He's really good at maths. And he's not very good at football. So we're just going to leave it. And it's like, no, like, he's not embarrassed that he's not very good at football, or you know, like, he's not worried about being released or anything. Like, he's just worried about playing football. She's just worried about playing football. Just like, you know, just let them develop, just let them grow. And I think so. Managing expectations of either being too high or too low is really important.
That's
we had one, it's like, you know, he's not listening to you, and I was like, well, he's 5. Just give him a month at least. Let him say, he doesn't know me, doesn't know the other kids, doesn't know the venue. And just give them time.
That makes sense. I mean, I guess the parents, they want their best for the kids, don't they? But they don't always know what is best for their kids.
Well, coaches say all the time, don't they? Like, it's probably the only profession in the world where the coach is forever like being like questioned and criticised for doing their job. You know, you never have to tell your dentist what to do with your teeth. You just let him get on because he knows best. And yeah, like, sometimes you think, just let us do, you know, what's best for the kids.
I would compare it to the school maths teacher. You wouldn't go into your kid's class, would you, and start shouting at the maths teacher, telling them what they should be doing with maths. You just trust them to get on with it. So yeah. What about chaos then, Chris? Because and my own personal journey was, I think when I first started off coaching, I'd want things to be very organised, and sometimes organisation came at the expense of the fun, if you like. It may have looked a bit more polished from the outside, and parents always have a very well organised session and stuff. But what I've learnt since starting out is actually chaos is good. Chaos is very good, and a little bit of football's chaotic. Do you find when your sessions, I guess it's probably not the case because parents are brought into it, but do you find that parents are okay with the games and the chaos going on, or do you think they get why that it doesn't look kind of as tight as it needs to look?
Yeah, firstly, because I've been doing it for so long, I'm like really confident, and I don't care one little bit sort of what the parents think from the outside, and so I just get on with organised chaos as much as possible, because it's ultimately the best thing for them. Like, they might be playing football now, and they might in 5 years' time be playing another sport. And I think if you've got the ABCs early from football from me, you can ultimately go on and play another sport. So, like, what we get a lot of time at 5s and 6s is they're all very similar ability. Obviously, you get the odd one that's tiny, the odd one that's massive, but generally, like adults, for example, we're all different heights and sizes, but generally 5-year-olds are pretty similar. So you get a lot of head clashes because they're all of that height. So when they're twisting and turning and they haven't got that spatial awareness, there's a lot of head bumps. But like, you're only going to bump your head so many times, and then you're going to learn and think, I better move and stuff. But yeah, like chaos teaches them quickly, and it makes them react to the ball. It makes them protect the ball. It makes them do tricks and do turns and think faster. So yeah, chaos is, especially at that age for me, it's really necessary. I have this game where we create a square, and so it will just be like, say, 3 kids on one side, 3 on the other, 3 on the other, 3 on the other. One, they'll all off at the same time, so they'll sort of all meet in the middle. One of them might be trying to use the right foot only, one might try to be the left foot only, one might be looking to do step overs, and the other maybe toe taps with both feet, and they'll just rotate around the square, and they're constantly like needing to look at the ball, look up, look at the ball, look up, stop on the line, turn, go back. And that game is so simple, and it gets all that chaos and ball manipulation in there. So it's really good.
Well, football's chaotic, isn't it? So the more you can create an environment which allows them to expose that, and the kids are resilient, aren't they? They're built for bumps, because that's the thing. And that's one of the best ways to learn their spatial awareness and, their own body movement and stuff. You've got to give them a little bit of opportunity to fall over and bash them into each other. And they, if they do it now when they're 6, 4, 5, 6, 7, they'll be better when they're 12, 13, 14 and not doing it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I sort of each year try and learn something new. So I go, when I have a new group of kids, try and like learn something new so that I'm back on that stage of like where they are and learning. And so a couple of years ago, I'd always wanted to skateboard and never could. So a couple of years ago, I learned to, in the September when I got the new group, learned to skateboard. And the first few weeks, I just kept falling off. And it's so frustrating. You're like, you're a grown adult and you can't skateboard. But like every time I fell over, I was like, I learned what I did wrong, and I learned I'm not going to fall over. And then after a couple of weeks, I wasn't falling over anymore. And so I put myself back in that mindset of learning and bumping and things being chaotic. And yeah, it's like a really good thing. But yeah, there's only so many times you're going to fall off that skateboard before you're like, no, that's enough. I'm learning.
That's commitment to the cause. How goes the skateboard now?
Good. Can't do any tricks, but I can cruise around with the dog. I take the dog on the park. It's quite smooth. Just cruise around him.
Perfect. That'll do. What about good practice? I mean, what have you seen or you've done yourself? You think, actually, you know what, for this age group, this I believe is good practice or good things to do. If I'm setting up tomorrow to set up a pre-academy little coaching group in my community, what are some of the good practices you'd recommend that I do?
Yeah, so minimum, like first thing is know everybody's name, every child's name. So even if you've got 5 new kids and they're all coming tomorrow, get to know their names as quick as possible. If you're not in charge of the session, if you're an assistant or a volunteer, like get to know the kids' names as quick as possible. I find the best way to do that is to create a little register. So when it's my team, obviously I have a register anyway, and like visually seeing the register helps me learn them quickly. But at City, when I'm not in charge of the kids' names, as soon as I finished the session, I got in the van, got my phone out, notes, and just wrote down every single kid name that I could remember. In the session, I thought, right, let's say, whatever, there's 15 kids, and I put them all down. And there was one night I only had 14 on the list of the 15. It was driving me wild, but I finally remembered, and then I never forgot that kid's name again. So yeah, like visually, like knowing kids' names, minimum. I know it's not always possible if you've got an hour booked 6 till 7 on a pitch and the other team don't finish till 6. Not much you can do, but if it's possible, I always say get there minimum 15 minutes early, get ready. I always, with 5 and 6, is set my game up on a pitch. So as soon as they arrive, we can get them straight into a bit of a game. And then when everyone's in, right, stop. And then we can get going on that pitch that I've already created. Like last night when we was training, there was like 6 turned up early, so they was just straight into a 3v3 while I was waiting for the rest of the kids to turn up. I think really being like, I know it's the obvious one, but really preparing, knowing exactly what you're going to do. And obviously, like when you're a new coach, say you know you're having 12 kids, but 9 turn up, and you've really prepared this perfect session, and you don't. It is a nightmare, and you can only learn that from experience. But if you have a plan, you know, it's better to be able to adapt it than just thinking, I'll turn up, I'll see how many kids come, I'll see what balls, I'll see how many sets of goals I've got, and then we'll wing it. I think being prepared is really important.
Yeah.
Sort of like I have a structure, so I'll either do 15 minutes of a match and then 50 minutes at the end, or I'll do 30 minutes of training and 30 minutes of a match. So if I do 30 minutes first, it'll be 10 minutes of ball mastery, roughly. You know, 10 minutes of a technique and 10 minutes of a skill. And again, it's all rough. So it might, some days it's perfect. It's like 10 to 10, but some days it might be 15, 5, 10, or it might be 20, nothing, 10. It just depends how much the kids are getting out of it and how it's going, how it's flowing, and being able to be a bit flexible and adapt. Yeah.
Flexibility in the structure, having the structure, the skeleton, I guess, of the session, but then being able we can move it if you need to. Sometimes I can do ball skills and they can do it for 25 minutes and they quite like it and love it. Other times, 5 minutes and they're done, and I've got they're not into this. Either again, it's me or there's something's not gone right at school today, and they want to get on to something different.
I definitely not like being lazy, but some weeks you might do you might do weeks and weeks of games, and then some weeks you go to do your session and it's just not going very well. And I think there's no harm in just going, just let the kids have a game. Just, you might do 10 minutes of ball mastery and it's not going well, or whatever. You could just go, right, I'm going to have a 10-minute game here or a 50-minute game here, and then I'll go back and do another 10 minutes of training. Buy yourself a little bit of time. There's no harm in going having a little match, having 10 minutes just to think for yourself, right, that wasn't going well, what can we do? Just let the kids have a match. They love that anyway, and that buys you 10 minutes to have a little think what you might want to do next and stuff.
Yeah. What about core values? Did you have core values with your teams? Are there things you kind of are non-negotiables, even at under 5, 6, as you say to the players that if, as your coach, this is the things I expect. It's your team, it's your development, but however, these are the things I won't move on. Do you have anything like that, or are you just more broadly on the environment you create?
Yeah, more broad on the environment that we create. Obviously, the 5 and 6, so we don't really discuss or negotiate things like that. I think obviously having a good attitude is important, having good behaviour is important, and I'm finally now, after a long time, a lot of experience, that I've got a nice balance of like firm but fun. And so like they might do something once, but then we quickly tell them like, no, that's wrong. You know, we just don't put up with any bad behaviour really, and like it never really goes much further. I'm not worried about a parent will say like, oh, you know, don't say that to my kid or something. I think no, like that's, if they're misbehaving, they're ruining it not only for them, but they're ruining it for everyone else, and they're wasting their time, they're wasting my time. So it's 99% fun all the time, but when you need to be strict and just say no, that's enough, then that's enough. Because well, like the other night, a kid was he was a new kid and he was throwing himself onto the floor just for fun, but like someone could kick him in the head, someone could stand on his fingers, and so it's just like, no, we're not accepting it. And you know, had a quick word and that was it. Off he went. 2 minutes later, he's back on the floor anyway because he's 5. But what can you do?
Yeah. but yeah, you know, change. If you that will change. I mean, we set up the high bar earlier, but around kind of maybe ability, but actually the high bar around behaviour and expectations, I think you can set it high and kids will step up to it, you know. They don't want to be the outlier. They don't want to be. They will be for a few weeks, but they'll soon get bored of being the one that's just doing the silly stuff and everyone else is enjoying themselves.
It's like little things like we say, oh, you know, who can pick up the cones? And parents say, oh, you know, they never would do that at home and things like that. And it's like, well, that's because at home they might be allowed to get away with stuff. Whereas here, it's like they just know. Like, I don't know, they just know, like, they all come and put the drinks in one place. If I say go for a drink, they'll go and get a drink. I'll say, right, everyone come back. And it's not like 2 minutes later, it's like, yeah, they all turn around, they all come back. And
yeah,
I don't know, they just listen, I suppose.
I suppose because you've got the love, learning, laughing kind of philosophy, if you like, that drives your principles, doesn't it? And that is your core values there to some extent. If that's everything you kind of build is around those 3 things, then if you want to learn, you're going to have to pay attention and do the right things. And
yeah, of course, because I think like that environment that I create with them is such like we have such a good relationship that they don't really want to mess about when they come, because they know they're going to have loads of fun anyway. They just want to listen because they can't wait for me to tell them what the game's about. They can't wait for me to tell them what the story is, and they're just like, you know, they like I have them in the palm of my hand. They're just ready to listen and sort of learn and get on with it. So, like, I think because they end up like loving me so much, they don't want to mess about. Yeah.
You've written some. Well, it's the complete series of coaching for 6-year-olds, right? Is it a series of books or is it one book?
They're all different. Initially, I wanted to just make one book, but because all the games were in colour and because the colour of the cones like means something, we couldn't do it in black and white. It had to be in colour, and because it was in colour, it was like really expensive to print. Each book is already $17.99, which wasn't up to me. If it was up to me, you know, it would have been like 20 quid for one book, never mind $17.99 for one. So they're all different. So each one is, we have autumn, winter, spring, summer, and then all seasons. So initially it was just winter, spring, summer, autumn, and then extras, and just a few extras at the back of the book. But we had to condense them into 5 books just to fit them into to be able to get them at a reasonable price to sell.
How do they work?
Yep, so they work. So that each book, so there's 13 weeks roughly in a season. So each book has 15 games. So you've got a couple of spares anyway. And then the winter book will feature some games that could be played any time of year, but generally there'll be winter-specific games. So it might be like The Grinch, Snowman's Disco, Advent Calendar, Penguins, Frozen, all things like that. Then the summer book would have games that are specifically summer-related. So it might be like an international tournament, might be going on holiday, going to the beach, going to a music festival. So, and then all seasons is kind of something for all seasons, really. So that's sort of like been the most popular one because you can use it any time of the year, but yeah.
And the games themselves then, besides what they're called, are they different? I mean, is it a case of different tempo, different style? Summer being hotter, do you have games that actually maybe require less running around, where winter games are more high energy, or is it more just the names and kind of what's built around it?
So each one focuses around 7 core skills. So like I was saying before, so it'll be turning and tricks, protecting the ball, moving forward and stopping. I can't remember which ones I've not said and which ones I've shooting, but there's 7. And so each one is linked to that, and then they'll be on. So some of the games will feature like different things at certain times. So remember, like there's a game about reindeers, which focuses on formations. So like, you know, because obviously like the reindeers are in formation for Santa's sleigh, and so even though they're only 5 and 6, they'll get a little bit about formations in that game. I think the snowball fight one features corners, because at one point we was taking our kids for some games against another club and we'd never done corners before. So I was like, okay, how can we incorporate corners into the game? Yeah. So it was like a snowball fight. So someone chucks a snowball into the middle and a goalkeeper and a striker fight to defend and try and score. So it, just lots of different things like that, yeah. Absolutely. So sort of the books as themselves, like the start and the end are pretty much the same in each book, but the content of the games are all different.
I think maybe the expectation is that you can just kind of rock up and do anything and the kids will love it. But actually, if you want to get something out of it and really want to build those foundations, those first maybe 2 or 3 years of any player's journey is so important, isn't it? And if you can get really good principles in the right environment, that foundation can make a massive difference to when they go into, if you want, more football at whatever age that might be. But those first few years are so crucial. And what you've done there is to put something together that can actually have impact, but also the kids can relate to in a fun way. I mean, that's quite unique.
Yeah, and it's like really good for the coaches, because you can just, in a way, you can just literally rock up half an hour before. So the only things you need is obviously footballs, nets, a stack of like 50 cones, like 10 blue, 10 red, 10 yellow, 10 green, 10 white, and some wit chat cones, which are like the sort of like the traffic cones for shooting. And that is literally it. So you don't need any other equipment than that. And again, you could turn up half an hour early in the car park, pick a game, right? That's what we're doing. Have a quick read. There's pictures, so you don't have to go into so much detail. But not only that, like, you got something to follow every single week. So you're not just going to do, like 2v2s this week. Next week we're doing 2v2s. Next week we're doing, dribbling from the side. There's just something every single week just to pick up and read it, and it's there ready for you. So yeah, they're good. They're good for that.
Come on in, Chris. If you had to pick a favourite practice or session or a game, you go to one with pre-academy kids, have you got one that you'd always lean on that you like the best?
It is tricky. There's a few that they love. Like, they love the Grinch, they love Minions, but the outright winner is Zombies every time.
Go on and tell us about Zombies.
So Zombies, it starts off with, so you've got a ball each, and obviously it's about protecting the ball. So the coach sort of walks around pretending to be a zombie, and then you have to obviously try and get past him. So it's a bit similar to like Bulldog, really. All the kids start here, and the coach is a zombie, and you have to dribble past, protect your ball, because obviously zombies eat you. So what you need to do is protect yourself and protect your football. So it's a bit like a Bulldog style. If the zombie gets you or the ball, then you can be a zombie. And again, it's like the last kid in is the winner. Yeah. Then we have like a quarantine zone where the zombie starts in the quarantine, and all the kids are on the outside. And this is like a bit of chaos. So if you dribble straight through the zombie, you get 2 points. If you dribble in the quarantine and leave to the left or the right, you only get 1 point. And so, like, you might go like 2, 3, 5, and obviously the little kids going everywhere. But also at that age, they're learning to count as well. They're learning to add up. So it might be like 4. Like, I've just gone through there. I'll start at 6, and they're learning to count. And some of them will go up to like 30. So it's really good for them that way as well. So the first was like a bit of a ball mastery. The second one, that's the technique. So there's not much competition. There's just one zombie in the middle, and there might be like 10 kids. So there is a challenge, because there's the zombie trying to get you, but the challenge isn't too much for them. And again, if it's too easy, you can just throw another zombie in. And then the last one is basically like a King of the Ring style. So it's we just call it King Zombie, and each player has a ball each, and they're just trying to kick it out of the screen to see who'll be the King Zombie. And again, there's little challenges in there. Like, once the players are out, if someone's taking too long, I'll just send like one zombie in, go and get somebody, and again, get lots of use of like using the body to protect the ball and stuff.
I like the fact you score your points, because football's a thinking game as well, isn't it? Right. So encouraging the players to actually be thinking at the same time as playing, risk and reward, all those kind of things. So a real simple game, but that's football as well, isn't it? Do I try and beat the ball? Do I try and release the ball? So it's great. It's simple games, but good principles on there that just the kids engage with, and it gets the outcomes that you want as well.
Yeah, well, that's it, because like the game of the quarantine is probably the best one out of the 3, and if you play that with them without that theme, I think it'd be quite boring. Like, just getting through, that's 2 points, and if I don't get through, I'll lose my points. But you don't want to be ate by the zombie. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're really like can I risk getting through, or will I check out and go to the side? And it's like you said, it's that risk and reward. And it teaches them a lot, like risk and reward as well. Do I go for it now? I've got a good opportunity. Can I beat him? Or is a zombie looking the wrong way? Yeah, I'll pass that way, then I'll dribble that way. So it's really good.
Well, the books look excellent, and I will be getting them, honestly. So I only saw them recently, but I will be getting them. I think anything that kind of gets you thinking and sharing ideas, and because we work a lot with the kids in that space, it can only be a good thing. And I'm not particularly creative. I'm good at taking ideas and kind of putting them in my own little world, but I'm not good at thinking in the first place. So you've done a lot of hard work there, Chris. So I'll be pinching those, and I'll let you know how they go.
Thanks.
Right. If you've got time, just a couple more quick questions. That's all right, Chris?
No problem.
This is the one where you ask everybody, if you could change just one thing, and we kind of strict to keep it to one thing, in the world of coaching, what would it be?
Mine would be to change under sevens from 5v5 to 3v3. I would love to do that. I would love to have under sixes, like when they go to friendlies, playing 3v3 only, and then at under sevens 3v3 only, and then at under eights they can go and do 5v5. But like they're just missing out on so much ball time, and by playing 5v5, like our under sixes played their like very first friendly game, and we used like a whole half of a 7v7, and it was just massive. We've got one kid who's physically better than any other, well, physically stronger than any other kid, and he used no skill to score his goals. He was just like powering through players. He had the whole length of the pitch to run, didn't use any skill, didn't put his head up, just literally ran the ball into the back of the net. So, but when we play our 3v3s, because it's tight and it's a bit more compact, like he'll lift his head up, he'll drop his shoulder, go around somebody. But because he had so much space, he was just powering through them, and that's no good for his development, and it's no good for the other kids' development. And because he doesn't need to pass or think about it, he's got so much space. But yeah, 3v3s would be miles better.
That's a great answer, Chris. The 3v3 format is a brilliant format, isn't it? Everything's in there. You've got to play. You've got to stay engaged. You can't switch off. You can be creating 1 minute. You could be scoring. You could be recovering, running the next.
Yeah, you don't need goalkeepers or anything.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. It's funny because I think as coaches, we can do what we want to do to some extent, especially in the foundation phase. So even if you've got to go and play a 5-a-side game or a 7-a-side game, if you've got 3 subs, we'll set up a little pitch behind, put 2 goals there, and get the subs playing a little foot against the other team, or mix them up and play a game. I think sometimes just being a bit creative, isn't it? We've got what the league say, but actually there's ways in which you can still get some of these smaller sided games in. And we've done 3v3 with under 12s, under 14s, and they love it. They love it. They get a lot out of it. So
it's quick. It's quick playing. It's quick. It's fast. You've got a lot of the ball. Like you said, you never disengaged really. You always have to focus. So they're really good.
Top answer. Thanks, Chris. Okay, what about you then? What's your plan? You're obviously quite busy now. But what's your plans going forward?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to uni. I start on Monday. I'm going to the Etihad campus with UCFB to do football coaching and talent development.
Congratulations, well done.
Yeah, I've got obviously a few like part-time jobs that'll keep me sort of going. But yeah, I feel like I'm sort of at that stage where I don't know what else will like challenge and develop me. I've sort of done everything that's not like I've done the badges and things like that, and so I feel like this will be that next step to push me on and learn more and challenge me. So I'm really, really looking forward to it. Yeah.
And what's the hope then, Chris? I mean, I know you don't want to probably commit yourself too much right now, but really, what would be the dream for you then? What's the ambition?
Well, once I get this degree, and I should get my UEFA B license as well. So I would love to work in an academy full time. So obviously at the minute that's the only full-time roles. I think it starts at under 9s, which ultimately is a little bit older than I like, but I'm sure that I'll be able to manage it and stuff like that. Yeah, that'll be my dream, to coach every day, and think not just to coach, but sort of to coach, but be in that environment of learning, of being with other people that can challenge me and improve me and get me thinking all the time. And that would be a dream, yeah.
Super. And do you think you'll stay with the younger age groups, Chris, or can you see that possibly changing?
No, I think that will always be my love. I would love to work in the academy there and do so at the minute with City. Before lockdown I was doing Monday, Thursday, Sunday, and at the minute we're just doing Tuesdays and Fridays in the evenings. So I could do that in the day and then still work with the younger groups in the evening. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I think you're going to be great on the degree program, not just for yourself, but I think an asset to the rest of the class as well. You're going to, I mean, you'll beat some wonderful people, I'm sure, but you're going to be part of that networking process that will drive on the next generation of cracking coaches that are coming through. So well done, Chris. I mean, yeah, you haven't got a promise now, but I'd love to get you back on in maybe 6 months or a year and see how the course is going, and just get your views on what's happening, what they're teaching you and stuff like that, if you're up for that at any point in the future.
Yeah, I'd love to come back on. That'd be great. Thanks very much. Yeah.
Top man. And I don't know if you're happy or not, but Chris, for me, I've seen the stuff you put out on Twitter. I've seen some of those resources you've shared. Obviously, you've got the books out there. I think working with younger players like I am, and a lot of coaches who listen to the podcast do, I mean, you're a great resource. Are you happy for people to reach out to you, or how can they find you?
Yeah, I'm on sort of on Instagram and Twitter, but mainly sort of Twitter for football, and that's @_Chris Hughes_. But yeah, I'm more than happy if anyone wants to reach out, give me a phone call, direct message me on Twitter, and just ask me any questions. Definitely okay with that, yeah.
Or we'll put your Twitter handle in the show notes as well so people can find that. But Chris, thank you so much for your time this evening. You've done a cracking job. Great work with the little legends.
Yeah.
If the football doesn't work out, you've definitely got a career in marketing. Although I'm also sure the football's going to work out for you, Chris. Well done for all the hard work. Thanks so much.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Scott.
Cheers.
Bye now.